In this lecture, we're going to cover Chapter 4, Emotional Development and Temperament. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to talk about is when we're talking about the development of emotions, what exactly do we mean by emotion? How do we define it? It seems like it should be pretty obvious what we mean by it, but if you look at how we're defining emotion when we're looking at research, it's actually a bit different from the way we typically think of emotion when we're just talking about our emotions with others. So let's look at these very important components of emotion when we are looking at the research. The first component, of course, is feelings. This is actually how we typically think of emotions. We usually think of feelings and emotions as being exactly the same thing, and people will use those terms interchangeably. When it comes to research, of course, we are talking about more than just feelings, but what we feel, both positive and negative, is of course a very important component of emotion. Another component of emotion that we need to keep in mind, however, are our physiological responses. Things such as heart rate, sweat, brain activity, chemical changes, things such as that. Because when we actually feel emotions, there is a lot that is going on biologically. There are changes in our heart rate. Our heart rate may actually increase. We may start sweating. There's a lot of brain activity that's going on, particularly since emotions are closely tied with our thoughts and our experiences. And there are also chemical changes. Different types of emotions can evoke different types of chemical changes. Positive emotions will elicit very different chemical changes than negative emotions. So with a negative emotion, for example, you may get a shot of adrenaline. That is going to affect what is next on our list, our cognitions. The thoughts that we have, the memories that we have, are part of emotion because they really have a direct effect on the emotions that we feel when we experience various situations or various even other thoughts in our environment, in our thought processes. And our emotions also can affect our cognitions or our thoughts. So it really is an integral component when it comes to emotion. The last part of emotion is overt behavior. In other words, how do we behave in relation to these emotions? Now, sometimes people will say, well, how is overt behavior really associated with emotion? Again, you have this bidirectional relationship where the emotion that we happen to be feeling when we are in a certain situation can affect how we behave. And how we behave can also elicit specific emotions. So it really is a bi-directional relationship, just as many of these other aspects are. So it's important to really remember, and this actually, by the way, can make a great test question. When we are defining emotions, it's not just feelings. It involves all four of these components: feelings, physiological responses, cognitions, and overt behavior. And when we are talking about research, and when we're reading about research, this is the type of definition that people are referring